exist. Arise from the dead.
Read the Bible, you'll find out that God's not too happy with what's going on around us.
Redeem the time, because the days are evil.
The Bible has not changed.
Boldly proclaim the restoration and preservation of Christian values in America.
Satan has brainwashed a whole nation.
As goes the church, so goes the nation.
Nobody's convicted of anything anymore.
And now, here's Last Call with your host, B.J. Edwards.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Let's do this. Lighting a candle.
Lighting a candle into the new year.
Oh man, and Christmas. Wait, hold on. I gotta get this out of the road. You're about to listen to 2 hours of opinion and entertainment supplied by Last Call Radio, where you can see the difference. We're not doctors, lawyers, politicians, professional journalists, nor do either of us hold a doctorate degree in anything. Not that that would make any difference in this day and age. Our opinion, of course. We only ask that you as an individual and or corporately not take our statements or those that we voice from others personal, nor do we recommend that you act on them as if they are facts, although they might very well be just that, facts, but again, our opinion. You're not required to listen to, act on, or repeat anything that you hear today, and that any information or opinion we present is meant for the good of the order and by no means intended to harm or threaten anyone. So there you go. By the way, be sure to hit that follow button on Rumble for us. Okay, that helps.
Speaking, and even if you're on YouTube, do the same thing.
Yeah.
Join the club.
But don't expect to see us regularly on YouTube.
We've been pretty regular for a while, so I don't know. Maybe they like us now. I don't know. Or maybe other people catch your attention. Leave us alone.
Nextdoor is an app. And on Nextdoor, they're now having political sections show up. And I put a video on that, the same video I put on Facebook. And I got a notice back that they're taking the video down. Something to do with, let's see what we got here.
What free speech are they? What free speech are they regulating now?
Yeah, well, here you go.
Ahead.
I am bouncing the Instagram video for two reasons. It uses the word ILL-EAGLES, illegals. It appears to be mocking gay and trans people. Both are not allowed on Nextdoor. Now, you sign an agreement on Nextdoor when you get in. But it doesn't really make any difference because beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? As is right and wrong. However, in 1964, Congress passed a public law, 88-352. The Civil Rights Act of 64 prohibits discrimination on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. The act prohibited discrimination in public accommodations and federally funded programs. Yada, yada, yada. If that contract breaks a federal law or goes against the Constitution, it doesn't exist. Anyway, I sent them back and I said, do you have problems with my being a Christian? I'd imagine I'm going to be off of Nextdoor fairly soon again.
There you go, stirring up trouble again.
Yeah.
Just go along to get along. What's the matter with you?
We are hoping to speak to a couple that are in North Carolina, originally from Arizona. Nathan and Kristin Cerepa. This is stage 2 or part 2 of our Western North Carolina Hurricane Helene follow-up, which we aren't doing as Americans. Anyway, I don't know where they are at this point. I've not been able to get in touch with them, but hopefully they'll come on. They've been doing a great job, as were Wayne and Bud last week, and others.
These are amazing people.
Yeah, they really are. They really are. And there seems to be a continuity here in terms of Christianity. I don't know whether you've noticed that or not. But Nathan and Kristin are both Christians. Got 6 children. They were doing very well in the world. But they got the calling, and they went to Carolinas. And boy, what they saw. If we can't bring them on, we've got a video that somebody else has produced from there that we'll play portions of. But I can't. Betty, you've been down. Oops, you've been down to the Carolinas, right?
Betty's there.
Yep.
I'm going to surprise her and bring her on. There you are. You're on stage. You're on mute. You're muted.
There you are. Yeah, I've been down there. It's a mess. And I'm sure it still is because it was so devastated. There's no way they could even get it straightened out in a year. Maybe 10 years if they're lucky. But what those people have lost, their homes, their family members, members will never be replaced.
Well, they've lost everything. Go ahead. They've lost everything. I mean, in addition to family members, they no longer have homes. They no longer have jobs.
They don't even have land. They don't even know where their land is. Know.
Even if you can find it, it's contaminated. Right?
Exactly. Yes, it is.
And if you want to drink the water, don't. It's a strange color. It's a color you get when you mix oil and water together. Oil and water don't mix, do they?
Nope. No. And people are too selfish. They always think the government should take care of them. The government, they're brats. They don't take care of anything.
Well, they're following rules. They're following government rules. And they don't make exceptions unless you're an ILLEAGLE. And then they'll put up in housing and give you free schooling and give you free medical care and food and cash in your pocket.
Well, I'm going to make some people mad, and that's okay.
Oh, go for it. Go for it. Yes. Love it.
Instead of sending money to Ukraine, which the government is very, very socialist, the citizens are actually really decent. They're Christians. And sending our money to Israel, we should be taking care of our people in our country. We need to take care of our people first. This is America first, not every other country first.
Yeah, we ought to be sending a few troops down there as well, huh?
Oh, boy, if they send the troops down there, the real men and not the transgender ones, they'd have bridges up in a month.
Yeah, but they're not to spec. You can put those bridges up, but you got to go through. There is so much red tape that you have to go through. And folks, the red tape needs to be ignored for a while to get these folks out of the situations they're in. It's just absolutely amazing. We may play that video, Mr. Anderson, because it kind of dovetails into what Betty's talking about. Give folks a better idea of what is really going on. Maybe we'll play that after the first break.
I wanted to mention Wayne made a follow-up video after he was on our show last week.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an excellent video, and it's really worth the time to go to his YouTube channel and check out some of the various videos. But
Deep River Farm, not farms, but Deep River Farm, FARM.
And he made an interesting point about people. Well, anyway, the main roads look repaired, so if you're driving through North Carolina and you look left and right, everything looks okay. What's wrong? What are they complaining about? But what you don't see is what's happening in the woods and on the mountains and the back roads that are not repaired, and people still can't get through, and people are there trying to get them supplies and propane for heating, which they desperately need. Those roads still are not passable. And people, we've heard thousands are still suffering, living in tents and so forth down there.
And Chimney Rock, and Chimney Rock, I've been through there before. It was devastating. It's beautiful. And I'm glad they're up and running. But it seems that a lot of people are more interested in tourism than the lives of the people, in my book. I'm glad they're up. Don't get me wrong. But we need to still take care of those people in the back roads. And another thing that's really making me really upset is CPS is coming in, taking children, saying these parents are unfit to take care of their own children, which if those people would be in their shoes, they'd be unfit too. But you can't break up the family. They've already lost everything. Why break up the family? And then those kids are disappearing.
Yep.
And we don't know where they're going, do we, Betty?
Heck, the parents don't know where they're going, but I can tell you, I could give you a guess of where they're going.
Yeah. Yeah. But the same rules don't apply if you break our immigration laws and come into the nation. They'll make sure if the children aren't in a good situation, they will take the family and set the family up as versus what they're doing in Carolinas and across the USA, by the way.
Exactly, because Washington State's gotten hit. We got hit. We lost 9 people, through the summer months. Where did that flood come from? Boom, out of nowhere, chemtrails. Thank you, government.
Oh, I don't think we want to go there, Betty.
I know you can't, but I can.
Well, no. It's a different subject matter. We'll have to. Mr. Anderson can head up that program when we do that.
Oh my goodness! Yeah,
he's, well versed in it. But we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to play a video, and it's about the 2 people that we're talking about this morning. And folks, Betty, how many times have you been down to the Carolinas since the hurricane?
I was down there 8 times, and I slept in my truck for 3 weeks.
What were you doing? You went down just to sightsee, right? Just to see what's going on.
Yeah, and cry. No, I went down there. We helped. They're called Baptist on Missions, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And we cut down logs and carried out logs and cleaned out people's places, their yards and stuff. And I also helped at Anchor Ridge most of the time, taking supplies up in the mountains or just handing out stuff, like food and clothing and needs, propane, whatever.
What did you see? I mean, but this is, there's a lot of people that live in the hollows and are away from civilization, if you will, although they do come into town every now and then. What can you say about there? What can you speak to, or did you get close to that?
I don't think I got into the heartland where it hit because they can't even get out yet. But what we saw was uprooted trees, huge trees, cars mangled. We saw bulldozers and trucks going through the creeks, trying to clean out the creeks. The creeks and rivers have changed, and there was so much mud and debris in them. They were just hauling it out, truckload after truckload, and everything's brown. There's no green. It's just so depressing. It's devastating. You have to see it to believe it, because I could talk all day until you've seen it with your own eyes, and it's hard to fathom. You realize the depth of it. And to hear these people's stories, there's times I had to turn around and walk away with tears in my eyes. Them telling me how they lost their family. This one farmer, the water came up on his 2nd story. He lost his barn and all his horses. And so they were trying to clean out the house. And of course, when you clean out that house with all that mud, you got to tear out almost everything because it's bad, The the plasterboard's going to be ruined, everything, It was devastating.
Yeah, water has its good points, but when it makes mud, there's some bad points. Let's take a break, Mr. Anderson. When we come back, we'll play a little bit of that video. And this is featuring Nathan and Kristin Cerepa, who were hoping to get on the program this morning, but may have to do this vicariously. BJ Edwards along with Mr. Anderson. This is your last call. Folks, there are Americans in the Carolinas that need our help.
People don't even know.
In Tennessee that need our help.
Last call with BJ Edwards. Real talk about real life.
And we are back. I think we're going to play that video as soon as Mr. Anderson gets it up and ready to go. Go ahead. Let's do this. By the way, while Mr. Anderson's trying to get the sound on that, I thought this was into the thousands, but it's actually into the hundreds of thousands of good citizens.
Oh boy. Get that amateur radio at its best.
Yeah.
We're back on. We're back on.
Sorry about that. We thought we had sound, but we didn't realize we didn't have any sound. So there you go. Interesting pictures. I do have, while we're trying to fix that, an email that I received from Kristin. It says, hey, y'all, we're something to think about when you think about Western North Carolina. The reason why we still need assisting families that are still struggling, who lost almost everything, and in many cases did lose everything. God bless y'all. We put together, based on the recorded facts, a little info that you can verify. And if you do the math, it kind of gives you an idea, maybe not 100% accurate, but it's close to as you're going to get it. And folks, this is very interesting. A lot of vulnerable people in Western North Carolina choose not to apply for FEMA help after Hurricane Helene. They were afraid of trusting the government. Approximately how many people would you this likely include? By vulnerable, I mean the mountain people deep in the hollers that have generations of living basic means. This isn't an official count anywhere. There isn't an official count anywhere that specifically tracks how many vulnerable deep mountain residents in Western North Carolina choose not to apply for FEMA help after Hurricane Helene due to distrust of government, but you can make a data-informed estimate of the possible scale based on available FEMA registration data and communication characteristics. If you took a census, and we do take census, and you have other reporting factions, the government pretty much knows how many people are where in the USA. I wonder if we've ever had a real number in terms of those that were affected by the hurricane. In terms of, you could probably do it in terms of acreage, but in terms of people. When I originally started this journey over the past 3 or 4 weeks, I was saying that it was into the thousands, and I wasn't sure. I mean, that doesn't make sense. Man, that's a lot of people. 1,000. Let me give you some numbers here. The number of people registered for FEMA help, FEMA reports, were more than 170,000 people. They register individual assistance in Western North Carolina following Helene. The number of households that might be affected estimates over 220,000 households. These aren't single individual residents, folks. 220,000 households were in the areas expected to apply for federal assistance after Helene. If we use an average household size of 2.5 people, that represents roughly 550,000 people who could have applied. 500,000 people, folks. Socially vulnerable population. Census data shows about 577,000 people in the disaster declared counties were socially vulnerable, low income, elderly, limited resources after Helene. How many applied versus didn't? We can estimate a gap between how many might have needed help and how many actually applied. Possible people who should have applied, socially vulnerable, those in damaged homes, 500,000 to 600,000. People who actually registered with FEMA, again, 170,000. That implies that roughly 300 to 400,000 people in Western North Carolina who were likely eligible or in need didn't register with FEMA for any reason, couldn't get there, including distrust, misinformation, access barriers, or lack of awareness. If you don't have any communications. Specific insight on refusal of some FEMA offers. There's also reporting that among households offered certain FEMA programs with direct temporary housing, a significant portion declined them. Of the roughly 3,600 eligible households for direct FEMA housing, about 3,000 declined the offers. That alone shows substantial refusal to direct assistance among those directly contacted. Considering rural distrust and cultural context, it's well documented that rural, low-income, and long-standing communities often distrust government assistance based on historical reasons, cultural norms, or misinformation, especially in isolated mountain hollows. News reports and research show discrimination, disinformation, conspiracy theories, distrust clouded recovery efforts in some hard-hit areas. Put it together, a reasonable range. If we define vulnerable mountain people deep in the hollers as likely uninsured or low income, historically, by the way, most of the houses couldn't be rebuilt. And one of the main reasons was the insurance companies would not pay for them. They didn't have flood insurance. By the way, this area now has been declared as a flood region. Now they can get insurance. Yeah, we don't trust the government, though. If we define vulnerable mountain people deep in the hollers as likely uninsured or low income, historically disconnected from formal aid system, possibly unreachable or reluctant, then a plausible estimate of those who did not apply for FEMA help after Helene because of distrust and reluctance could be in the order of 100,000 to 250,000 people. That's just in Western North Carolina. The range reflects the difference between the broader population estimated to need aid and the portion that actually registered, plus known cases of eligible people declining offers. It's not precise because there's no direct survey, but it's grounded in the best available data and context. There's so much pride in Western North Carolina, and the way they were raised was not to ask for help, but instead offer to help. By the way, you do find a lot of that down there. That's Wayne and that's Bud. And that's other folks that we're not featuring, but that doesn't mean that they're not good people and they're not helping. There's something, this is something that Kristin and I learned extremely fast in the beginning 2 days after Helene hit. It was tough. Folks, there's a lot of churches in the area that are helping, by the way. A lot of churches that are helping. And I was thinking that, wow, why don't we know? We know a lot of things about a lot of people and a lot of populations. But we seem to be ignorant about this population in Western North Carolina and Tennessee and portions of South Carolina, maybe even Georgia. Not only do we not know about them, we're not hearing about them other than a program like this. Coach Dave has helped out in terms of both financially and with material help. Betty was part of that. People help. They supplied trailers. I think Jeff Klein, I'll tell you what, let's take a break and bring Jeff on after the break if he's around. He can tell us a little bit about how he's helped out in terms of North Carolina. This is BJ Edwards along with Mr. Anderson, your last call. We had hoped to get a couple on here this morning to give us a live report. Still might happen, but so far we've not been able to get back in touch with them. Hope they're okay. Anyway, let's take a break, Mr. Anderson, and then we'll bring JC on.
Last call with BJ Edwards. Real talk about real life.
Operation.
Last call with B.
Hello. Jeff, JC, what's going on this morning? Have you been down there, or have you just helped out with trailers and goods and services?
Yeah, the box truck and supplies and stuff. We rounded one up and sent it down. They do still have the box truck down, and they're still using it. Actually, Nate told me 2 months ago the box truck is full of medical supplies, plumb full. So now my buddy that owns the truck, in between me, Coach, and the guy that owned it, has been a mess with the title. But he finally got the title, and he said he's just going to give it to him and let him keep it right there. That was a blessing. Nate loved that. But I just texted Nate about 15 minutes ago, and here's what he said. I said, JR's wondering what happened to you this morning. He is live now on Last Call Radio. He texted me back a few minutes later and said, "We are on site, but have no signal. Choose different location." Then he sent me, right after that, he sent me a picture. He is working on putting a house together. They got steps going down the basement and stuff, but he said that's what they're doing. So I don't know if they're trying to get somewhere where they can get a signal so they can get a hold of you, but that's the latest here just a few minutes ago.
Okay. And I appreciate it. I suspected something like that. The communications is still not very good down there.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get them live and on location as they're building the house. Listen, folks, I don't know what percentage, let's say 100% damage down there, whatever kind of damage you want to talk about. Have we even come up to 50% in terms of repairing that damage? And there's some other questions too. I mean, the water's contaminated, the land's contaminated. How much of it? I don't know. All of it, maybe. But what do you do in a case like that? How long does it take to restore that?
Yep. And can you imagine living in a tent or a shed or a camper and trying to round your kids up in there and keep warm and feed them? I mean, a year later, that's crazy.
15 months. Yeah. It is, but it's very telling. We have such a short memory. It seems in situations like this. I mean, everybody is praying to begin with. That's good. And God has probably talked to you about that, but what have you done with regards to that conversation? You just go on to the next
Wonder
disaster.
what it would be like. Wonder what it would be like if that area was full of illegal aliens or Somalians. They'd probably be taking good care of them then.
Well, you know they would. I'm sorry. You know they are. You know they are. We ought to ship the illegals over there and have them help out, right? That a good idea?
They don't want to work.
Yeah, I hear you. Mr. Anderson, do you have something to say? I saw you unmuted there.
Right. Well, I'm still playing around. If you want to try that video, if you click on your end, we'll see if we can get sound this time. If not, I give up.
Okay. What am I looking at? I'm looking at add to stage. Is that it?
Yes.
I'll add that to the stage.
And okay, now it's in my hands, I guess. I got to do something. Try this.
Yeah, we still don't have any sound. And they were on location there as well.
So we're still not getting sound, is that right?
No.
Because I have sound on my end. So remove.
I could barely hear something in the background. There you go.
This magnitude. We prayed on
Got it now?
And jumped in the truck the next day, 2 days, I think it was 2 days later, grabbed some tools, grabbed the dogs, and knew that we needed to be here to help these folks. These folks were struggling before the hurricane hit, and right now, up until 4 months later, they're still struggling immensely.
I didn't touch a thing. And Nate and Kristin, I think, went immediately. Well, maybe a couple 3 days after they heard about the hurricane damage, they just packed up, like I said, all their tools in a truck, etc., and headed that way and started to work and haven't stopped since. It's absolutely amazing. And we don't have any sound, Mr. Anderson. Live. BJ Edwards and Mr. Anderson, your last call. I didn't know whether you can hear me. I guess we're back.
When I switch things here,
they still don't even have a fire department here.
I don't even. And, are you hearing this?
I can hear you. Yes, I can hear it.
You can hear me, but yeah. Okay.
When I drove up, this is our third or fourth trip up here, bringing vital needs into the area.
I'm trying to stop things here.
This is literally a ghost town. I'm just going to pan around a little bit just so you can see.
Oh, this is crazy.
Kind of, I mean, I'm standing.
I got video playing, but I can't stop it.
Can you put it on the screen? You'd have to remain there so we can hear it.
Well, it's too bad. It would be a good video. I don't know why I can't get the sound. I can't even find the screen back. Oh, here I am. It's all over the place. Happy New Year. We're starting off with a bang. So, yeah, there's some real good on-site reporting going on between podcasters and YouTube videos and various people. I wish I could show some of these without the delay or whatever. I don't know why we can't get the sound, but if you go to this website, redneckhousing.relief.com, .com, yeah. And you can get a lot of information from that. And I am trying to bring that website up to share so you can see some of the information that they have on there.
I've got Helping Hands for Family, Central Global Methodist Church, Ashbrook, North Carolina. Operation Mountain Relief, Midway Wesleyan Church, Randleman, North Carolina. Pastor Tim Clark, Bethel Wesleyan Church. He was my connection for these folks. That's in Flat Rock, North Carolina. Appalachian Reclamation Coalition with a K.
The reason we're spending a lot of time on this is because people don't know that Americans don't know there are, what we're hearing, thousands of Americans.
Hundreds of thousands.
I'm sorry?
Hundreds of thousands, maybe.
Maybe. We don't know the number, but whether it's one family or 200,000 families, they're out in the cold. And we've heard reports where they live on one side of a river, and the propane and things they need to keep warm, when it runs out, if the river is too high, they can't get across the river. I don't remember the number that we heard from Wayne or Bud, but it was something like, I don't know. I thought I heard 7,000 bridges were out. I don't know. But these are not bridges on the interstates if you're driving through North Carolina, but these are the bridges that they need to cross to get to the propane to take back to their home or tent, wherever they're living. And so they have to wait for the water to go down. There's all kinds of complications down there. And where is it? We heard last week that Greg Biffle, NASCAR driver,
yes, yeah,
was flying supplies over to these areas that you couldn't get to by foot or vehicle. he was, I guess, a helicopter. I'm not really sure the whole story, but he was killed in an airplane helicopter.
Yeah, he was piloting the helicopter, and he and his family were killed in a plane wreck.
Just last week.
Yeah.
And he was doing this on his own accord, but he was aware of the problem and he was doing everything he could to help until this accident happened. Very, very tragic thing. So there are people down there who are aware of it and trying, like Betty. I mean, God bless her, in making that effort. Sleeping for 3 weeks in a truck just to be able to help get supplies. I think she encountered other problems like people. She had to stay with the supplies because people were coming and stealing it. People who didn't need it.
Actually, the Mexicans, the illegals, would come in and they were dressed better than us and they drove a nicer vehicle than me and everybody else. And they'd come through the night and then they say they were looking for either water or diapers, Pampers.
That's illegals.
Yes, and
not illegals, but illegals.
So
a sick bird, huh?
Yeah. Basically, I didn't get no sleep at night because it was a constant fight. And then I'd work all day, So I was ready after 3 weeks. I can't imagine what they went through, so I don't want anyone to feel sorry. Those people, they're up 24 hours for the last year.
It's just absolutely amazing. Norm, if you have a comment, go ahead. But what are we supposed to do here? I mean, seriously, the land is contaminated. The water's contaminated. Are we talking about a year or 10 years or 50 years or 100 years before it's livable again? I mean, that's something that needs to be taken into consideration. Yes? No?
Well, it needs to be, but they want that land. So they're going to.
You mean the government?
The government, yeah, the people, and it's the evilness of the government. They want that lithium and barium and whatever else is there, But the thing is, they're not helping our people to even get set up, even if they could live in the same area, or get them a new home somewhere, or do something. Or these illegals come in, and they get apartments, they get homes, they get better money than us all together in a month to live on, just to buy whatever, and then they get a food allowance card. Is that right? Why? No, they want to destroy us. The government wants to destroy the American people and have the illegals in there running the show with the lefties.
Yeah, it's locally where I live, there were hundreds of people that showed up to protest ICE. Okay? Hundreds. And there's thousands, probably hundreds of thousands across the nation that are protesting ICE. Boy, we could take some of those people down to the Carolinas and help out a little bit, couldn't we? Use some of that energy in a positive note. Norm, any comments?
Well, I do. Yeah, we've got to help these folks. And, I talked last week. I don't believe President Trump is aware of what's going on, and we're going to have to get his attention. It really touched me last week, and I've been every day I think of new ideas and how to get his attention, and I've got several. I think we're going to have a get together. Right now, we need. I've talked to Betty. We need 6 or 8, at least, people that's willing to take the lead in a particular area to accomplish. But we're focused on one thing. This is your area to work on. That's willing to take 5, 10, 20 hours a week till we can get the attention of the people that we need to get the attention of. So, but I think we can do it. I believe we can do it. This thing is too big for the churches, for the counties, for the states. It's going to have to be the federal government. And I think we can put enough pressure on them to get their attention.
I love you, Norm, but I kind of disagree with you with the President Trump.
Okay.
I don't think he's forgotten or anything, because we have too many disasters going on in the country, like Washington, just every different areas. I think he's just put us on the back burner.
No, I agree. I agree. I mean, we had 80 Christians beheaded last week. We've got 5,000 people a week being killed, and he hates that. And we've got flooding in Washington, and again, we've got to have to bring this front and center. I mean, I remember as a counselor, getting overwhelmed in a sense. I bring a family in, and somebody in the family is threatening suicide, and the next hour I'm dealing with a family that's about to break up and separate the kids, and you just go from one catastrophe to another, and you can't give everybody the attention that it needs unless again it's brought to your attention, and you just have to stop and focus on it. And that's what we're going to have to do. It's the only way we're going to get him to help. And as I've said before, the person that's going to get to President Trump is Melania Trump. And that's one of the places we're going to have to focus on. I've got her email address, and we're going to develop a plan to bombard her with stories, and day after day after day till we can get their attention.
One of the things that we need. Go ahead.
I'm done.
One of the things that we need is to get folks together, like yourself, myself, Betty. Some have been down there, some have not been down there. Plus some of the folks that are down there now, and put an ideal scenario together. In other words, what would it look like if you could wave the magic wand? What would it look like in terms of the recovery for the area? Does that make any sense to you?
Sure.
Okay. And okay, then say what do you need and what's possible? If the federal government was involved, what would they need to do? And in some cases, they need to stay the heck out of it. And local authorities need to stay the heck out of it, if you know what I'm talking about.
Well, yeah. My thought, the churches that have been very active are the ones. See, one of the things that President Trump has done since he's been in is he wanted faith-based groups to have the same opportunity for grants as anybody else. In other words, he recognizes the need that they're the folks on the ground, that deal with the people. And I think the money needs to be granted to the churches to distribute in their area to take care of the needs. And we've got a super Christian man, Scott Turner, who's head of HUD, and I've heard him interviewed. He's when he was talking about his relationship with Jesus, he just lit up like a Christmas tree, and he's a Christian with the real deal. And we're going to have to get to him too. So there's a lot of people that we can bring into this thing to make it work.
Okay, but again, there's this is very intricate. I mean, there's a lot. When I read that email from Kristin, we're talking about people that don't trust the government.
True, and that's why the money needs to go to the churches and let the churches deal with the people in their local area.
Well, what if they don't go to church?
Well, but they
we're assuming that they trust the church, and I'm not too awfully sure that's a good assumption.
Well, it may not be, and I'm sure you're not going to get everybody to trust them, but
yeah.
But I think given time, if they see that they're getting the help and they're not coming in to try to take their kids, and so we got a challenge.
Yeah, but it's number one, putting it back on the radar screen is number one.
Yep.
And I think what you're talking about does help. I think that talking with folks on the ground there helps, and then taking those two entities and bringing them together with the people in the middle. You've got the sheriff we haven't talked about. You have what about fire departments? What's going on with the schools down there? What about healthcare? Mm-hmm. Are there doctors still in the area? Is it healthy to live there? And I understand maybe the government has accomplished their job. Maybe they've contaminated so much that people can't live there anymore. I mean, I can think of our house, and if something happened that, you could take mold. Okay. Your house has mold. You have to move out. What? Yeah, you have to move out because it's dangerous. And there's a chemical that's all over your yard, and we can't get rid of it right now, it's going to take 10 or 15 years to do that. I mean, is it practical to try to repair, or do we need to move the residents to a different area?
Yeah, I don't think they'll move.
Yeah, no, they don't. I wouldn't want to move.
No.
This is what I know.
No.
I have friends around here. What, are you kidding me?
Mm.
But
let me stay where I'm at, even if I die early.
Yeah,
I'm not moving.
It's their home,
Right.
And that's the biggest thing. And if they start moving, my personal opinion, the government's in control. They want you to move. They created this mess.
yeah.
And they want you out of there. So these people, I would do the same thing. I would do everything to fight against them.
And I'm not disagreeing with that, but I'm saying let's be objective about this and go, okay, let's just say that for sure the government caused this issue, and it's because they wanted the chemicals, or they wanted the materials in the land. Let's just say this for sure. We know that. That doesn't change the situation that as long as these people are living there, and I think that I talked with Kristin or somebody else down there, that they because they were working around the areas, they got sick because of the their dogs got sick. Was it because of the water? Was it because of the grass? They were, it's hard to say what happened, but if people stay down there and they start getting cancer because of the chemicals that are there, now what? And their children are going to be exposed to that. Now what? What do we do? Yep. The government set this up, but what do you do with the people that are there? How do we handle that? There's just a lot of questions that need to be answered.
Sure.
And again, I'm thinking of my own home. I'm gonna do everything I can to stay here. Are you kidding me?
Sure.
I'll put a mask on and walk around the house if that's what it takes. Okay, I mean, seriously.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't leave mine. That's what I said. I'd rather stay here and die earlier than if I moved off to somewhere else. That's just the way. At my age, that's. And I'm sure there's some families down there that would be willing to relocate, but I think for the most part, they won't stay there.
Yep. No.
Well, they don't know a different life.
Yeah.
How do you restart? You're 55, 60 years old. Where are you going to find a job?
Right.
I mean, basic essentials. These people have lost, like we started, they've lost everything. Like Betty said, even their land has been washed away. And people are offering them money for land that isn't even there, and it's not enough to go live on somewhere else.
Right.
Well, they were wanting to give $29,000, and these people got maybe $150,000 home and land, but they were offered like $29,000 or $39,000. You can't even go out and buy a house with that. Even if they wanted to go, and even a down payment, they would still have mortgages. So it's everything's just ridiculous. It just doesn't even suit their needs.
Okay. And we have to make a decision. What is the best thing to do? And I don't know whether that anybody has taken the time to go, okay, this is permanent. This isn't permanent. There's businesses that are, well, they're out of business. Do they want to go back into business? Is the money there? At this point, I'd say that.
We're at the top of the hour, so I'll run a quick 2-minute warning and then the top of the hour, and we'll come back and keep discussing.
All right, sir. B.J. Edwards, along with Mr. Anderson. Your last call.
She came up to me one day and gave me the worst news any atheist husband could get. She said, I've become a Christian. I thought, oh, great. Now she's going to start judging me. Now she's going to try to get me not to hang out with my friends. Now she's going to make the kids think that there's something wrong with me because I don't believe in God. I just saw trouble. And trouble came because all of a sudden she becomes a devout Christian and I'm an adamant atheist. Well, we're just butting heads. And we'd never done that. We met when we were 14. We got married at 19 and 20. We're best friends. And yet for the first time in our marriage, we're at loggerheads. And I thought, I got to get my marriage back together here. How do I do that? Well, wait a minute. There's an easy way. All I have to do is disprove Christianity. I went to Yale Law School. I understand what evidence is. And I'm sure I can poke enough holes in Christianity that it would fall apart. I ended up spending a year and 9 months probing the historical data concerning the resurrection of Jesus mainly. I understood everything depends on whether Jesus returned from the dead or not. He claimed he was the Son of God. He says, I and the Father are one. And the word in Greek there for one is not masculine, it's neuter, which means Jesus was not saying I and the Father are the same person. He was saying I and the Father are the same thing. We're one in nature. We're one in essence. So I just began researching history. But as I began to investigate the resurrection, I was stunned because I did not expect there to be any historical validity to the fact that Jesus died on a cross and rose from the dead. How do we know it's true? 4 words that begin with the letter E. Execution. Jesus was dead after being crucified. I thought maybe he survived. No, we have no record anywhere of anyone surviving a full Roman crucifixion. The second E stands for early reports that he rose from the dead. In other words, reports that didn't come after decades of legendary development, but go right back to the cross itself within months of his death. Third E is empty tomb. How do we know? Because we know from history, sources inside and outside the Bible, that when the disciples began saying, oh, Jesus had been resurrected, what the enemies of Jesus said was, the disciples stole his body. So they're conceding implicitly that the tomb is empty. We have no fewer than 9 ancient sources, inside and outside the New Testament, confirming and corroborating the conviction of the disciples that they encountered the risen Christ. That is an avalanche of historical data. This was the final fact that convinced me. It's a huge difference between the terror attacks of September 11th and the disciples being willing to die for their convictions. They believed it with all their heart. They had faith in it. They were willing to die that way. That tells me nothing about the truth of their convictions. Now, let's think about the disciples. Of all human beings who've ever lived on the planet, they were there. They touched the resurrected Jesus. They knew the truth about whether he had returned from the dead and proved he's the Son of God. Knowing the truth, they were willing to die for it. She came up to me one day and gave me
keeping you informed. This is Last Call with BJ Edwards.
And we're back. We still haven't heard from our hopefully guest this morning. If not, we're going to go ahead and handle it appropriately. We've been talking about, and Norm, I was thinking about this this coming Sunday, prior to the first of the year, getting some folks together and starting the conversation off about what we need to be doing, what areas, what marketing approach we're going to take. Again, I have to make those calls today, and I don't know what I'll send emails out and see who we can get together on this, because it's an important issue. But I honestly don't know what the best thing to do is, and I'm hoping folks have thought about this. But I guess when you're fighting for your own life and your basic survival, you don't do a lot of quote unquote planning, right? So I don't know. We have to take everything into consideration, and having folks that have been on the ground and folks that are on the ground. Maybe I can include Wayne or somebody like that in the conversation. I'll ask him if he'd like to be part of that.
Yeah, we need him. Him and Bud.
Yep. Doing a great job.
Yep.
They're like insiders. They have boots on the ground. They know what's going on.
Right.
I just wanted to mention or emphasize our concern since we've become aware of this is why we're doing the show, is because at least we can do this, right? Share the information and share contacts and do whatever we can to make people aware of what the media is not doing its job, if you will. I don't know. Sometimes when unfortunately, I look at it too much. Mostly I just go to get the weather, but I turn on the news and you hear the same story over and over again. And it's not even a story worth knowing about on the news media. And you don't hear anything about where America's in trouble. And like BJ pointed out earlier, you got the protesters arguing
ICE.
ICE or whatever. And I don't know. I don't even know the true story about ICE and what's going on with that. Who knows? Who knows what's going on? But we need to get this story out. I feel I'm concerned and shocked at the number of people that are still suffering down there. I feel the weather here. It's only like 30 degrees or something here now, but it is chilly out there with the wet and the drizzle. It's not a comfortable place to be spending 24/7, they say, right?
Yeah.
In this kind of weather. And what is happening with the kids? I've heard some pretty bad stories about how government and we've heard that from the people that we've had on the show and we've been talking to by emails, that the government agents come in and see it's unfit housing for children and they take the kids away. Horrible. No wonder why they're hesitant to open up their location to people. It's bad. Question I have is this warfare against our own people? They call it weather wars or other kinds of phenomena that we hear about, like you've heard about HARP and other things. Would our government do such a thing? Would it?
Well, they let millions of illegal aliens in. So go ahead.
Yeah, there are certain elements of the government that would. Everybody's got their own little area, that they want to see done, and I think there's a lot that goes on that's not known, with Congress and the president. No.
Government big enough to give you everything you want is big enough to take everything you have.
Take it all away. You bet.
Yeah. Create a need. Like some of the headlines I had today, and this is diversionary to what we're talking about, but it's real for a lot of people. 19 states file lawsuits challenging Trump's administrative plan on sex change procedures for minors. What? How did that? Why are we even considering sex changes for minors? Seriously,
for anybody.
Yeah. Seriously, yeah. But you can't talk about that. Remember next door? The warning I got? They're going to take down information that might convince a young child not to consider mutilating their body. But it may offend somebody. Truth sounds like hate to those that hate the truth.
Right. Well, I'm really disappointed in the medical profession that would even consider this.
It's a medical business, not a profession. It's a business. And if you don't, a long time ago, I did not have a pill that I had to take. And then I went to the doctor and the doctor said, I'm noticing this. I'm going to send you to a specialist. And the rest is history. I now take more than one pill for various and sundry needs. And I'm supporting the business. And it's scary not to support the business, but it is a business. And listen, if you didn't know it before COVID, you do know it now. If you're listening, if you're watching, COVID made it quite clear what is going on in the medical community.
Yeah, and the doctors are so influenced by the drug companies and the drug salesmen, and there's some good drugs out there that's helped, but I've witnessed it with my wife. You know, she takes a lot of medication, and one medication creates another problem, that they have to give you another medication to solve that problem, and it just goes on. And you know, my wife cannot walk right now and has not been able to stand up for 2 years from taking steroids. And the steroids was for another problem, but you know,
yes,
you know, it's just, and you can't get off of those very fast. And every time you try to get off of them, seems like something else comes up that you got to get back on them. And, you know,
and if you go to a doctor and you say to them, you know, I think I should stop taking this, and their answer,
no.
Well, or their answer is, okay.
But
sure, stop.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'll make a notation that you stop this, and I didn't tell you to. All right, go ahead.
Right. But, here's my emergency number if you need it.
No, they won't even give you that. Ohio Church's longstanding nativity display destroyed. Community rallies to restore it. They thought originally the wind had blown the life-size nativity scene down, but then they took a closer look and they saw tire tracks coming off the curb, running through, and then going back again and running over it again. Oh, truth sounds like hate to lose it. This is just, we're in an incredible world today. We really are.
I don't know why they fight so hard against somebody they don't believe in.
Yeah, that's true. Chick-fil-A. Go ahead.
No, that's something.
Chick-fil-A. That's that Christian organization, right? Mm-hmm. With friends like this, who needs enemies? Doubles down on wokeness. The company's maintaining its diversity initiatives in 2025, when many corporations are reconsidering such programs like Disney. They recently removed diversity, equity, and inclusion from its latest business report for the first time in 6 years. However, Chick-fil-A's position stands in contrast to the broader corporate trend. The restaurant chain has also faced scrutiny for its support of certain organizations. For example, Chick-fil-A has provided funding to, who do you think they might have provided funding to? How about the Southern Poverty Law Center?
Wow.
Uh-huh. Yeah. It's committed to being better together by embedding diversity, equity, and inclusion in everything we do. We strive to provide a welcoming and inclusive place for everyone, except Christians. Reference next door. And I don't know what you think about Barry Weiss. Or is that Weiss? Barry Weiss from CBS. She's the new director. You know anything about her, Norm?
No, I do not. I supposedly she was trying to bring CBS into more truth telling, I guess.
It's smart. It is smart. One of the first things she did was have a debate with Charlie Kirk's wife. And it was very even-handed. It was very well done. Mm-hmm. Smart. I'm trying to get a hold of Barry. Massachusetts mayor needs a translator because he can't speak English. You say, what? Where? Massachusetts, is that in the USA? I think it is. Yeah, it is. Museum. Santa is too white, too male, and needs to be decolonized. Charlottesville, Virginia gets rid of system that solved a murder and found missing children, all to protect illegal aliens. Trump pays illegal aliens to leave. Critics ignore the cost of letting them stay. Good. That's something that we need to talk about. As a matter of fact, I think they're now doubling the amount of money they're going to give people to leave the USA.
Well, they went to 3,000. It was 1,000, and now it's 3.
Yeah,
plus
that's a lot.
The airplane ticket.
Yep. Wow. We live in a very interesting world. How was your Christmas, folks? Huh? How was your Christmas? Here, let me help you out here. There's a generation that curseth their father and doth not bless their mother. There's a generation that are pure in their own eyes and yet is not washed from their filthiness. There's a generation, oh, how lofty are their eyes, and their eyelids are lifted up. There's a generation whose teeth are as swords, and their jaw teeth as knives, to devour the poor from the earth, and the needy from among men. The horse leech hath 2 daughters, crying, give, give. There are 3 things that are never satisfied, yea, 4 things, say not, it is enough. The grave, the barren womb, the earth that is not filled with water, and fire that saith not, it is enough. The eye mocketh at his father, and despiseth to obey his mother. The ravens of the valley shall pick it out, and the young angel shall eat it. There are 3 things that are too wonderful for me, yea, 4 which I know not. The way of an eagle in the air, the way of the serpent on the rock, the way of a ship in the midst of the sea, and the way of a man with a maid. Such is the way of the adulterous woman. She eateth, wipeth her mouth, and saith, I have done no wickedness. For 3 things the earth is disquieted, and 4 which it cannot bear. For a servant when he reigneth, and a fool when he is filled with meat. A servant when he reigneth. That's socialism. For an odorous woman when she is married, and an handmaid that is heir to their mistress. This Christmas, you're with family. And what I've recommended is that you try to talk to the family about what's happening in North Carolina, Western North Carolina, about the victims. And let's just say you had a conversation with some of those family members, and you're in a room, and you're talking about, well, how many people do you think are affected there? And they go, well, I don't know. 100? Yeah, probably. 1,000? I don't know. And then you say to them, actually, it's probably in the hundreds of thousands. And they need basic needs. And then let me tell you what's going to happen next. Things are going to get silent, and the conversation's going to be over with. They don't want to hear anything more about it, and aren't willing to do anything about it. Now what? If not North Carolina, what? Oh, I know. Illegal aliens, right? We got to take care of them first. We got to make sure that children are taught that life has no meaning, morals are relative, man, not God, is a measure of all things, and the state's your daddy, and that if you think you're something, you are. But let me tell you for sure, you are a victim, and you need restored. And that's the goal of the government, to help you do that. And please ignore your parents and those that love you. Amen?
Amen. Honoring your father and mother was the only commandment with a promise.
Yeah. But so many of our children have been brainwashed in these indoctrination centers we call public schools. It's just so sad. It's so sad.
Well, who has failed here, BJ?
Well, you have to start with yourself, and then you go to the church. Right?
Family.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're the family, yourself in the family. Yeah. And fathers, you could talk about a lot because we're supposed to be leaders in the family. It's difficult to do because when you do take that leadership role, they start calling you names, start accusing you of abuse, and leave the house. Don't want anything to do with you. Won't call you, won't show up for Christmas. They're just gone. This is so sad. So sad. I think we're going to take a break and then we come back. Probably end it after the next segment because I really wanted to get those folks from Carolinas on, but not going to happen. So let's take a break, Mr. Anderson. When we come back, we'll finish up the conversation and get ready for our Sunday meeting for North Carolina.
Last Call with BJ Edwards. Real talk about real life.
And we're back. We were hoping to talk to Nathan and Kristin Cerepa, but they're in a desolate area of America called Western North Carolina, where they don't have they can't ping their phones, they can't call in, which is a shame. They got they got bit by the righteous bug very quickly when this North Carolina situation happened.
Must not have Elon's Starlink.
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah.
Ukraine does.
Yeah, we know a lot about Ukraine, don't we? About the specifics that are going on.
What's going on there? Oh, they're meeting tomorrow. Zelensky and what's his name? The president.
Putin doesn't want peace.
Hard to say.
No.
Hard to say.
He wants Ukraine, all of it.
Yeah, and control.
Yeah.
He wants control of the situation.
Right.
And whatever we say that they can't have, he wants.
Right.
Because we said he can't have it. Watch this. Watch this.
I thought our president was interested in their rare earth.
Russia?
No.
Ukraine.
Trump.
Yeah.
Trump wants Ukraine's rare earth.
Yep. Well, maybe they can go over to North Carolina and find a little bit of that rare earth they're looking for. What do you think?
Looks like they're digging for it.
For sure. If you want to be in on the conversation for Sunday evening, JR naturalfamilystrong.com is the email address. JR naturalfamilystrong.com. Want to talk about it Sunday, tomorrow, and get some kind of thoughts in terms of what we need to be doing. If you want to give financially, where to go there, we have a list, a long list of organizations that are helping out down there.
I know you probably can't read them, but here I'll flash a few on the screen. Here's some of the churches. If you're on a big screen TV somewhere, you might be able to read some of this. Yeah, I wanted to show this just to get an idea. People have this, I don't know if you see my cursor here, but they have these Amazon sites, Michelle Smith, WNC Relief Effort. So if you would put that in the Amazon search, you'll get that up, and she lists items that are needed, and you could just click on one and buy it, and it'll be sent to the people in need. There's several people that have these Amazon sites with different needs listed. Coffee, different. Yeah, there's the churches again that are involved. Resources. And I think, again, if you go to the website for redneckhousingrelief.com, you can get some contact information there as well. If you can send for help or send some help, either one.
And we mentioned Deep River Farm.
Yeah.
Among other places. Appalachian Navy, that's Bud McCall. Release Center, links to Amazon registries, contact information for Wayne and Bud. Again, if you want some of this, I suppose going to JR at naturalfamilystrong.com might be able to help you out there, given the volume of requests. But again, we're gonna start a discussion Sunday about what it is we think we can do. We need some experienced folks that are going to help out with that. But our focus is the main thing is to bring light back to a dark area. Western North Carolina, Tennessee. Clay Parker could probably fill in some blanks in terms of the Tennessee area, a good friend of ours. I don't know what's going on in South Carolina. I suppose the tip of it has been hit a bit, or Georgia, what's going on in that area. But we know that the biggest need is in this Western North Carolina area. And, they've been having help, folks, but we're talking about immediate versus long term. And I think we need to take both those into consideration, and we can work them both at the same time. Don't have a whole lot more to say about that. Private chat here. Let's see what we got. Glassman gas under the past salt by propane for families. Okay. That number is 828-667-0437. That's buying propane. 828-667-0437. A lot of the folks, maybe most of them, are living in trailers that have been supplied by good Americans. Or maybe they have a portion of the house they're using propane heat to the buddy heater or something like that. Or maybe in a garage or in a barn, whatever they have, tents for heat. There's folks that are supplying food down there as well. Folks, they have needs, huge needs. I'd like to see some churches outside of the area work with the churches inside the area, send some of their missionaries down there. It's an opportunity to help out people, but at the same time share the word.
I can share this video a little bit. I showed it last week. Oh, Betty's a cop coming in to offer. Anyway, the video I have set up, just talking a little bit about the toxic land and what some people are already doing. So it is restorable, and there's a process. And
okay,
I would say that, and I think it's on one of our lists about contacting some people who are dealing with the land and how they're treating it so that it's safe again.
Fire away.
Fire away.
Hopping and popping. What's up, y'all? I am at what I'm going to call ground zero for restoration here in Western North Carolina. Okay, I'm just going to spin around this way. Over here, we got some other volunteers, and we got Allison from the Farm Connection, Ian, their kids, a whole gang of folks out here. And then in the distance, we got Oakland basically working a biochar ring. And all of that is going hand in hand for what we're doing out here. Now, you're seeing a 100-gallon tub, and I'm going to grab something from over here. Now, this is going to look a little weird, but this is the rock star of what we got going on out here. This is basically, well, let's just call it extract, okay? And look how dark it is. But don't freak out, because this is precisely what we need. Where everybody's you think you need chemicals in our reductionistic society for everything, but we don't. We need everything that's already found in nature, okay? The good Lord's provided for all of it. And right there in this tub is where it's at. You've seen me do videos before on compost extract. Well, now I got in this 100-gallon tub enough to do 50 acres. And we're going to put it on about 1/4 of an acre today, okay? Here we are in a community that was absolutely devastated by what happened with that hurricane. And we're going to turn it around. That's exactly what the Living Soil Foundation is meant to do. We're trying to raise the money to be able to not only pay for the testing that we talked about the other day, because it's not enough to just do initial testing. We're going to have to do it continuously. And I could show you the invoice, but that testing costs, well, this last one, actually, I told you $5,000. It was actually about $8,800. And I can't keep breaking all that out of my own pocket. So anyway, folks, this is where it starts, and we're going to need your help every step of the way. We got tons of volunteers working all over this area, but we're going to need everything that you can possibly offer, and most importantly, your prayers, okay? Here's how it's going to go today. We made all this at home. I've shown you how to do it before. All I did was take what we had at the house, brought the water, because I know the water is not chlorinated, or fluoridated. It's straight from my well, and I know that water is fantastic. So we have basically 30 gallons of extract, and that's enough to do about 30 to 50 acres out here. I'm not kidding, and we're going to put it all on about 1/4 of an acre. So we got it in the tub. We got our pump. We got our sprinklers. We got the whole 9 yards, and it's really, 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 really simple. In a nutshell, all we're going to do is put great biology down here, and the kind of biology I have in here is meant to eat up a lot of the awful things that are down in here. Either eat it up or tie it up. That's exactly what we want to do. And we're going to hope and pray that we do this in record time. Now, I'll talk later about what that timeline may look like. We know what the starting point was, and this is where we begin. The good thing is that it's been freezing for days and days around here, but today it's about 59 degrees when I checked when we first got on the ground here. So, good thing is that the warmer it is right now, the better our microbes are going to be able to work. Another thing to point out, I'm going to stand here on the edge. Now, I've already taken my penetrometer and I've gone around this place, and I can basically run it down 3 feet without obstruction. So initially, if it would have been harder ground, we would have to go through with a broad fork, hit it every 2 feet, and then put our extract down and then try to get the biology down low. We're not going to have a problem with that. Like I said, a penetrometer goes down practically with one hand, because all of this is basically sand that's washed up out of the river. So instead of scraping it off, because I know somebody's going to ask that, well, why don't we just scrape it off? It's the worst thing you can do. Why take this toxic mess and put it in another place and then have to remediate it there when we can remediate it right here on the spot? And that's what we're going to do, y'all. Like I said, this is ground zero for restoration in Western North Carolina.
Betty, did you have a comment?
I did. Is he in Swannanoa? I assume he is. That's where the kind of heart of it all ended up at. And also, if anyone has campers that they're not using, donate them to a family that's living in a tent and sleeping on the ground. I have picked up some campers from different areas and taken them to people to take down. You know, that was quite an experience for a woman to go and get a camper and all. But I learned a lot, you know, and I know that one time we went to, I think it was Chester, West Virginia, and it was snowy, and the hills that we had to go up, I prayed up the hill and down the hill, camper, you know, so I just hoped I got out of there, because I thought we were going to get stuck or end up in the woods.
Amen. Amen. I think we're going to close her out, folks. I hope we've done this justice, at least sparked a little bit of interest. Maybe you want to do your own thing. I don't care. If you want to get with us tomorrow evening or tomorrow sometime and talk about this, JR@naturalfamilystrong.com. Let me know, and I'll send you the coordinates. Any closing comments, folks? Otherwise, I'm gonna head out of here.
Real quick, Kevin, could you send me that Amazon link? Because I missed it. I tried to read it and I couldn't read it fast enough. You can either put it in the chat or you could send it me email because I want to share that. I think if we can share it in all our social medias and on email addresses, people if they even just pick up a case of shampoos, which you can get little packets of, like 100 for, I don't know, $20, anything, or laundry soap in packets, because if you get them a bunch of bottles and stuff, they have no room to put that stuff. But a box of laundry soap that's liquid in a packet, they have to wash their clothes in buckets. They can just dump that soap in there and wash their clothes out and hang them up. I mean, you got to use common sense when you send to some of these people because they don't have the room or the resources to do a lot of things.
Yes, and I'll send you a forward of the email where I have all these links already in place, and you can share or use what you will out of that.
Yeah,
I will share because I got a lot of email and I got a lot of friends on Facebook, and I will tell them to share, and they usually do. And I
don't think you could make it any easier than just go to Amazon and find one of these people that are registered. They'll get these supplies directly to people, and I trust the people that shared this information that this is going directly to the people in need.
Well,
it's not going through other people.
Well, that's just it. Are we going to get some scammer on there? So I rather get it from you if you're pretty sure these are legit place, because people will do anything for nothing.
This list is coming from Wayne and Bud, those two guys that were on last week, and they're
boom,
and they know the people that they're sharing this information from. So,
yep, that's why I want it from you, Bud. Just you.
JR naturalfamilysong.com, folks, if you want that list.
And so, yeah, I'll share that with you, Betty. And I got it from Jim, who got it from Wayne. So, the chain of command there is intact.
Appreciate your patience with us this morning. I know it didn't quite go the way we wanted it to, or maybe it did.
Well, praise the Lord. We're amateur radio. That's all I can tell you.
Amen. Amen. Where you can see the difference.
This is the new short wave. Remember the days of short wave when people could talk to each other on the radio and you had to have a certain time of day and everything. Here we're a little more sophisticated than that, but still rough around the edges.
All right, let's get out of here, Mr. Anderson. Thank you all for listening. Have a great day. Go Bucks.
Go Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I got to find my...
Join us next week for Last Call with BJ Edwards.